Yeah, this next one. Let's just go ahead and go into it. Seed oil for Ukraine. Now, back when this whole thing started happening, which is absolute theater, by the way, guys, if Russia wanted Ukraine, that would have been over in a weekend, no matter what the news tries to tell you. They would have had it in a weekend, but this is all theater. It's all theater on all sides. They're all friends. They're all in bed with each other to get the whole world structure going the way that they want it to. But when this thing happened, when this thing took over, churches everywhere started throwing up Ukraine flags. I remember when it happened, a lot of the churches around in my town, I drive by and they had support for Ukraine. Whether it was a flag or a sign or something, they were all saying, pray for Ukraine, do this for Ukraine, and in support. You can still find it here and there every once in a while in people's houses and whatnot, but it's not like it was before. But there's this push to help Ukraine, to go to support them in because they're being attacked and it's war and all this stuff. Have you guys ever looked at some of the videos of Ukraine where the Ukrainians are in their cities at nightclubs and stuff partying right now? It's all theater. It's all in that way, but they have to push that message across. They always have to push that message across. So some of the things that I've seen recently regarding this, one of them came out of this SDG meeting, which, by the way, no rapture. We're still here. Antichrist isn't on the scene. No 10 kings either. Ezekiel 38 hasn't happened. Just throwing it out there. But at this thing, Zelensky met with our good old pals at BlackRock. Which this isn't the first time that he's done that. This isn't the first time. He's met with them a few times. But of course, every time it happens, it makes the news. But yeah, if you look at this, Zelensky said he met with BlackRock CEO and other finance leaders in U.S. trip. Zelensky said they confirmed their readiness to make large-scale investments in Ukraine after the war. And this is the same talking point, the same agenda that they've talked about every time, or at least this is what the news tells us was the agenda. You know, there's definitely other agenda involved. So we can only go with what the news tells us. And of course, I always tell you guys, don't believe the stuff in the news. Doesn't matter where it comes from. Just always have a healthy dose of skepticism every time you're reading it. The only thing we can trust that we know is 100% true is the Bible. So it's important to understand that. But if we look at this, it says Ukrainian President Zelensky said on Sunday that during the recent trip to the U.S., he met with BlackRock CEO Fink and other U.S. business and finance leaders to discuss investment in Ukraine's reconstruction. The American entrepreneurs and financiers confirmed their readiness to make large-scale investments in our country immediately after the end of the war and the receipt of security guarantees, Zelensky wrote on Telegram. We are working for the victory and reconstruction of Ukraine. And it says CNN reported that while Zelensky was in New York for the UN General Assembly, he attended a meeting convened by everybody's favorite people, JP Morgan Chase, to discuss Ukraine's reconstruction. A source told CNN the meeting was attended by former Google CEO Eric Schmidt, Michael Bloomberg, yes, that's Bloomberg, New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft, of course, hedge fund billionaire Bill Ackman. If you guys follow anything financial, I'm sure you know that name. Former U.S. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, because why not? We gotta have the full Luciferian party there, and billionaire Barry Sternlicht. So again, this isn't the first time that this is that they have met, and it's again we're always told it's the agenda of trying to the future of Ukraine, the rebuilding, the reconstruction of Ukraine. Now I've got this video here. I showed it a long time ago when it first came out, but I'm going to go ahead and show it again in case you guys haven't seen it or it's been a while and you want a refresher. There is a whole deal of what's going on with Ukraine and what they're trying to do with it. What it could be for, again, we don't know. All we can do is speculate. there's a lot of good theories out there. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, this is what's going to happen and whatnot, because I mean, we really don't have a clue. But this is what they put out, and it seems like that's what they're aiming for. But again, we don't know. Check it out. This is the video for Ukraine 2030.
Let's look 8 years ahead. 2030. The history of the new Ukraine is studied all over the globe. Why? Because Ukraine became the most digital and convenient country in the world. Scripts have replaced bureaucrats. 500,000 former public servants are successfully integrated in the new economy. No more red tape, but paperless. No more banknotes, but cashless. Yes, we became the first country to abandon paper money. Ukraine now has the best tax system for the IT industry and the most affordable e-residency. Thanks to Ukrainian engineers and programmers, the R&D centers of the world's top technology companies operate successfully, and Ukraine ranks first in the world by the number of startups per capita. Ukrainian courts are guided by artificial intelligence, and all notarial acts take place online. Ukrainian customs is fully automatic and the fastest in the world. Customs clearance and car registration can now be done in 3 clicks from your smartphone. Because of war and internal migration, we have built the most flexible and modern digital education. Brave military and civilians get quality treatment with modern remote monitoring and e-health systems. Ukraine also has the most effective cyber defense in the world. After the horrors of 2022, Ukraine focused on security systems. Now every production facility has its air defense system, and the sleep of Ukrainians is protected by an ultra-modern Iron Dome. The Ukrainian government is digital, more like an IT company in terms of the efficiency of implementing decisions, and one can register a land plot, start construction, open a business or get a license, and register a car or real estate from a smartphone, automatically, in 1 click. Ukraine is the freest and digital. This is all because international partners and the world's leading technology companies supported the Digital for Freedom initiative and united to help Ukraine recover through digitalization. Building a new Ukraine together, free and the fastest, brave and digital.
Free and the fastest. Yeah, free, sure. Yeah, so when you're looking at that, it seems like what they're trying to do is build a hub for a system, a digital system. You can see everything is done with AI. It's done digitally. It's done with all these different things. They've got the smart everything. They're trying to create a smart country type of deal, which is interesting, especially since all the money that keeps getting dumped to them. I mean, I think they just approved another 4 point something billion or something like that, I think. I don't know that for sure, so don't take my word on that. Remember, don't take everything I say as 100% truth, guys. Go look it up yourself. But it looks like they're trying to create a hub for this type of thing. And so you look at something like Saudi Arabia, they're working on like the Line and the Line City and whatnot, which is kind of a more of a city version of what they're trying to do with Ukraine. It just seems like they're trying to push along this digital beast system, so to say. Now, again, who knows what's really going to happen with this thing? But what we see going on, and again, if Russia wanted Ukraine, it would have been done in a weekend. This whole thing of Russia's stuff is falling apart and they're getting pushed back and this and that. It's all theater. Again, it's all theater. I went and I did an entire thing called Tearing Down the Curtain, where I show Putin and Russia is fully on board with everything that the web is doing, and it's all in cahoots. But on that video, if you guys looked, it's supported by this organization called United 24. Which Zelensky's name has been slapped on it as the one who created it, but we know there's others who are pulling the strings. He's just an actor, a puppet. Yeah, he used to be like a Chippendale and stuff like that, if you guys don't realize that. But United 24, now I've talked about United 24 in the past. They've got some very curious people that are involved, like this guy, who his name is Demna, and he's the creative director for Balenciaga. Now, if you guys don't remember, I did a huge thing on it. I'm not going to get into it this time. But if you go into Balenciaga, they're involved with the child trafficking with the fashion industry and all this stuff. He's somebody that's fully wrapped up in it. If you guys want to go deeper into it, I kind of did I went into that as well in the past, where Ukraine is basically a child trafficking hub for not only sex trafficking, but also for organ harvesting and whatnot. And I mean, that is like the hub of the world for that, because even their laws are built specifically not to punish anybody who gets caught doing it. And so that's why it's there. And yeah, all the money is getting funded into this wonderful country that's trying to build the digital hub for a beast system, along with is the hub for child trafficking. It's just amazing how that all goes into that. But he's one of the ambassadors for United 24 that's heading up this whole thing. And the reason why I bring this up is because Zelensky recently, well, he named somebody who he wants as ambassador as well. And her name is Marina Abramovic, or Abramovic. And Zelensky asked her to be the ambassador for Ukraine. Zelensky has asked Marina, the performance artist, she calls herself a performance artist, to be an ambassador for Ukraine. Abramovic, a fierce critic of Putin's illegal invasion, said that Ukraine's president had asked her to help in rebuilding schools. So here we go with the kids again. If you guys don't know, it's amazing how you have this woman. If you guys don't know, she is a high priestess in the Church of Satan. She is a Satanist, a part of the Luciferian Church. She's a spirit cook. She's also connected to people like John of God, Allison Mack, and Podesta, who are all heavily involved with being a part of sex trafficking and sexual assaults and all that stuff. I'm not going to get into it. She's also done things for like the Clintons and Kanye West, Kim Kardashian, all those people. She's done things with Balenciaga and all these things. And you can even see a picture of her with Jacob Rothschild's in front of his wonderful painting, Satan Summoning His Legions. And so, again, it's just more of the piling on of this child trafficking in Ukraine. It's more about creating this hub for pretty much everything evil that's going on. But yet we have these churches that continue to push along this wonderful message of supporting Ukraine. Then again, when you go and you look at the videos of Ukraine, everybody's partying like life is going on like normal. It's amazing how a war-torn country is being so lenient with what they're doing in their lives. But it just goes to show the deception of what's going on in the world today. And I've said it before, Satan's strutting the catwalk. In the past, he had to hide and do things behind cover and whatnot. Now, they're just openly doing things, whatever they want, without any repercussion, without any halting, without any stopping, because they can get away with it. We're at the point, this is another sign of we are in these times where Satan's 15 minutes of fame is coming up really soon. And before that happens, the rapture of the church has to happen. That's the wonderful doctrine of imminency that the Bible teaches us about, that it can happen at any moment, including right now. One of these days. But it's just, again, another sign of what's going on, what the truth really is. And again, this is only part of it. I mean, there's so much going on. If you guys, I don't recommend doing it. I've even had to take a nice long break from going into anything involving that. But I mean, the Luciferian cult and what's going on behind the scenes, guys, it is bad. What we see going on with some of these people like Marina here and Demna and Zelensky and whatnot, these are only scratching the surface. And that's hard saying it from somebody like her, wonderful priestess of the Church of Satan. It's absolutely disgusting. But this is where we're at. And now getting with BlackRock, I saw some other stuff coming out from BlackRock. People are saying, see, the ESG stuff is over. Even Larry Fink and BlackRock has come out and said they're going to abandon the ESG stuff, which is the environmental social governance agenda that they're trying to push on everybody. See, all the news comes out. Oh, they're bailing on the ESG. They're losing money. They're not going to do it. Larry Fink said all this stuff. But if you guys look beyond the headlines and see what's going on, BlackRock is not bailing from ESG. Nobody is bailing from ESG. So we get this. And of course, Reuters, again, just always got to take these things with a grain of salt. But right here, it says BlackRock's Fink said he stopped using the weaponized term of ESG. This is from June of this year. BlackRock, Larry Fink, at the forefront of the business world's adoption of environmental, social, and corporate governance, the ESG standards, has stopped using the term, saying it has become too politicized. So now they're keeping the same agenda, they're keeping the same program, they're just not going to use the term. They always like to change the words, change the terms. Like they've changed the term with recession and depression and what all that means and everything, because they continue to just change it with what they want it to do. Goes on to say, but the world's largest asset manager hasn't changed its stance on ESG issues, Fink told the Aspen Ideas Festival on Sunday. I don't use the word ESG anymore because it's entirely weaponized by the far left and weaponized by the far right, he says. But he said dropping references to ESG would not change BlackRock's stance. The firm would continue to talk to companies it has stakes in about decarbonization, corporate governance, and social issues to be addressed. He added. So again, this has to do with the psychological warfare, the psychological aspect, PSYOP. Put it out there. Oh, even Larry Fink of BlackRock says he's going to stop doing ESG, but in actuality, all they're doing is just changing the aspect of using the term. They'll probably use some other term to explain what's going on, but they're going to continue with the agenda, with the program. And I mean, they talk about how he says, oh, we're going to continue to talk to corporations about doing this stuff. Well, again, the terminology is off on that as well, because even from the horse's mouth, and I've showed this before too, but just a refresher.
An eagle passed.
You now make a point of that's an investment criteria for you.
Well, behaviors are going to have to change, and this is one thing we're asking companies. You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock we are forcing behaviors. 54% of the incoming class are women. We added 4 more points in terms of diverse employment this year, and what we are doing internally is if you don't achieve these levels of impact, your compensation could be impacted. Okay,
we're doing the same thing.
And so it's just you have to force behaviors. And if you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted. And that's not recruiting, it is development, as Ken said. And ultimately, it's still going to take time, but I am just as much shocked as Ken is that we have not seen more opportunities. And we're going to have to force change.
Force behaviors, force change. Your money is going to be impacted if you don't do what we're telling you to do, type of thing. So again, that terminology, if they're going to continue to talk to companies, now what they're going to do is continue to strong arm people into continuing on with the agenda that's being pushed on every company globally, that is all falling under the wonderful bow tie, the wonderful package, and I'm going to continue to tell people about it, of mystery religion. This has to do with the worship of Mother Earth, of the goddess Earth and everything. So everything falls under that mystery religion that's being pushed into these companies that are then pushing it upon the corporations to continue to do what they're doing. And so in this aspect, they're saying, oh, they lost all this money because of the ESG and stuff like that. But if you continue to read on, Fink continue to talk about how it was one of their best years, even though what you're seeing in the headlines is they lost a bunch of money because of ESG. So again, if you look further, if you look beyond what is said in the headlines, you will see that they really didn't. They really didn't lose because of ESG. And so all they're going to do, because it's now become a politicized weapon that's going to continue on to be used, the ESG scores and all that stuff, but they're just going to change it. Not the agenda, but the terminology. And that's what they always do. They always change the terminology on these things. So that's something to go with on that.